All right, YouTube, welcome. Just a brief little update. I currently invested in a new camera and a microphone, and what an upgrade. I can't tell you how many hours of footage I've lost using my smartphone and trying to connect it to my computer and transfer files. This is a huge upgrade, and so expect more content, you guys. Now that this laptop is plugged into this camera and the camera literally etches the information directly onto the computer, this is hassle-free recording. Makes it much easier. So I'm going to be recording a lot more video content. One of my New Year's resolutions, you guys, was to produce more content, at least 5 videos a week. So I'm going to do my best to live up to that. I'm not saying that I'm always going to be able to, but I'm going to do my best. So I want to do an herbal course. I'm going to do videos weekly on individual herbs. So I'm going to talk about things like Cascara sagrada, things like hibiscus, even things like garlic and onions, and just I want to break down certain foods, especially herbs, but foods as well. Things like, discussing the health benefits of, again, purple onions or tomatoes, discussing the health benefits of herbs like ashwagandha or bacopa or reishi mushroom. There are so many herbs out here, you guys, that we can learn about, and there are so many herbs out here that we can actually learn from by ingesting. So trying to get things set up here and make sure everything looks good. Looks like we're rolling. But so expect that, you guys. What herbs do you currently consume? I'd love to hear from you. I mean, I'm always interested in hearing what other people are using and the benefit that they've attained from using those herbs, or sometimes people have serious reactions to them. It's important not to buy into the idea that just because something's natural that it's safe. A lot of herbs and things like that, you can't mix with them, each other. The problem with the alternative health movement here in 2019, you guys, is that many people don't know what they're doing. Many people think that because something's natural that you can just mix it with anything else that's natural. So people are consuming often on a daily basis things that are toxic because they mix certain things that aren't supposed to be mixed together. So we'll talk about that in the near future as well. Food combining is a huge thing that goes neglected every single day. Lack of understanding on how to combine foods properly leads to a lot of issues, gastrointestinal problems, and things of that nature. So we're going to talk, you guys, this week about the gastrointestinal system, and we're going to talk about constipation and colon cleansing. Colon cleansing is something that is absolutely fascinating to me, and this is something that the average Westerner will go his or her life without really ever understanding the importance of. I've done a lot of studies, you guys. I've done a lot of research, and I've done a whole hell of a lot of self-experimentation on myself over the years with different cleansing protocols. And the thing that's probably affected me the most, in fact, let me rephrase that. The thing that's affected me the most, the thing that has blown my mind the most, the thing that has really humbled me the most is properly done colon cleansing. Now, unfortunately, there's a huge stigma around the word colon cleansing because it's synonymous with, people thinking that, oh, colon cleansing, that's snake oil, or that's a pseudoscience. That's a bunch of bogus mumbo jumbo designed to be make money off of marketing and selling products. Well, that's true. That's true in anything, though, you guys. Within any sector of within anything in life, someone's going to be trying to make money off of it. Now, unfortunately, a lot of people who sell colon cleanses and a lot of the stuff that you find online is garbage. But fortunately, there's also a ton of great information out there on the subject. Look into the works of Dr. Norman Walker. Look into his book, Colon Health. You can gain the vitality of your youth. Look at Bernard Jensen's works. Look at the work of Arnold Ehret. Look at the work of, there's so many different people. I'm not going to get into it. We can go on and on forever. But there is legitimacy to this. And I've experimented with it for years. I've done things such as coffee enemas, psyllium shakes to detox metals and to broom the GI tract and get stuff out of the system. I've eliminated probably 25 pounds of waste from my system. Stuff ranging from mucus to strange objects, large objects that were as hard as rubber that could not be cut through. And it may sound gross, but I documented a lot of this stuff. I took pictures of a lot of this stuff because I live in a world where people require proof to believe you. And most people, if you talk about colon cleansing, due to the conditioning here in the matrix, people aren't going to believe you. When I tell people that they're full of parasites, they're not going to believe me. However, I've gotten rid of parasites, and every single person that I've known who's been serious about parasite cleansing and colon cleansing and detoxification, if they've stayed true to the protocols, if they've gone out of their way to make sure they were doing things properly and safely, they experience the benefits, they experience the results as well, and the results are often traumatizing. Taking care of your health requires a very, very sincere look at yourself and what it is that you're doing in your life. It requires a lot of self-honesty. It requires a lot of responsibility. Self-care and self-help on the level that I'm talking about in terms of cleansing and really getting rid of the waste in your system requires a lot of courage as well. A lot of times, you know, we've accumulated a lot, to a large extent, alimentary toxemia, ladies and gentlemen. We have eaten so many garbage foods over the years that we have a lot of accumulated waste that have been stuck inside of our gastrointestinal system, inside of our plumbing. And because of that waste, it creates putrefactive matter. And that pollutes the blood. And when you pollute the blood, you pollute every single part of your body, ladies and gentlemen. The blood is the river of life. We have created a state of auto-intoxication inside of our biologies on a cultural level. At least, not necessarily on a cultural level, but here in the United States, auto-intoxication is very common. It's not uncommon it's very uncommon, let's put it that way, to find people who are genuinely healthy, that are radiantly healthy, people who are buzzing, so to speak, people who are really feeling the life force move through their system. To get healthy in a world where we've been filled ourselves full of garbage waste from a very young age, it requires a lot of detachment. It requires a lot of detoxification and elimination. Elimination is the key to detoxification. Opening up the eliminative channels and getting things moving, ladies and gentlemen, so that you can get this stuff out of your system, all the accumulated garbage from the state of the perpetual state of auto-intoxication and alimentary toxemia here in this matrix. I mean, it's insane. It's insane to really look at the truth. And I'm not trying to sound negative. I'm not trying to sound egotistical, but I genuinely believe that the majority of the United States population will go through the majority of his or her life without ever really knowing the truth as to how polluted they are. And the pollution, based on my research, based on my own experiments and experiences, trial and error, and the evidence of my own eyes, mind, body, and heart, I can say without a shadow of a doubt that, at least for me, and these are just opinions, nothing more, the majority of the health ailments that I've ever had can be directly related to some form of blockage or constipation within the system, whether that be in the liver, whether that be in the digestive system, especially the digestive system, you guys, because when you have your alimentary tract, which is, in layman's terms, the tubing from your mouth to your anus. You have multiple feet of tubing, of plumbing. And when you get stuff stuck inside of your plumbing and it can't get out, it leads to toxemia. It leads to auto-intoxication. Now, what is auto-intoxication? In layman's terms, you guys, auto-intoxication is a state of toxicity from having stuff stuck in your system. I actually have a definition up here. Let's read this. Auto-intoxication is defined as the poisoning of the body or some part of the body by toxic matter generated therein. Now, obviously, we can go much deeper than that. And I actually need to, I'll be right back. All right, you guys. So I had to get something done really quick, but I'm back. Now, we were talking about auto-intoxication. Let's just stay on track with the colon cleansing and cleansing in general. In further videos, we'll really break down what auto-intoxication is, as well as things like alimentary toxemia and some of the consequences. I mean, there's a lot of consequences that come from living a standard American diet. So we live in a world, you guys, where we have access to a lot of resources at our fingertips. We have the ability to travel from, state to state, country to country. We have so many different breakthroughs in the form of technology. We have made so many different advances in so many different sectors here in this world. Yet we are still so primitive and still so behind when it comes to how to eat properly and how to take care of the body properly. It's a huge shame, because in my opinion, you guys, based on my research, which is pretty extensive, the majority of people's issues and things that they experience, such as bad health, can be directly related to what they consume, what they put into their mouth, what they breathe, as well as what they think. Attitude is really important here, but it's not everything. Now, I've said this before, and I'll say it again. I have two particular quotes that I'd like to touch upon. In 1976, the U.S. Public Health Department said that only 1.5% of all Americans were actually healthy. Again, in 1976, the U.S. Public Health Department said that only 1.5% of all Americans were actually healthy. Now, that was in the 70s. In the 70s, there weren't as many issues because the agricultural industry hadn't gotten its footing yet with all the genetic engineering and all of the advanced new states of things like all the pesticides, the herbicides, the fungicides, the larvicides, the insecticides. There's a lot of malpractice within the agricultural industry, within taking care of crops. It's all about business. It's all about money. We live in the Matrix, ladies and gentlemen. We live in the underworld. We live in hell. Do you really think that these people who are growing the food that you buy in these gigantic superstores really have your health in their hearts? Do you really think that they have your best interest in their hearts? No, it's all about business. We live in a world where money is the rule of the roost. We live in a world where you have to pay to play. It's all about resources and accumulating resources. And because of that, there's a huge loss of integrity in so many different things. But aside from all that, in 1976, the U.S. Public Health Department said that only 1.5% of all Americans were actually healthy. Aside from that, you guys, the Surgeon General will tell you that about 70% of the issues that we experience as humans in the form of disease and issues, chronic problems, you name it, across the board, can be directly related to the food we eat, the water that we drink, and the air that we breathe. 70% is the majority of the pie chart. Genetics play a role in illness. Genetics definitely play a role in health, but it sure as hell is not everything. And most Americans think that health is largely genetic. Now, those last two quotes can be found in Dr. John W. Apsley II's book, The Genesis Effect, Spearheading Regeneration with Wild Blue-Green Algae. Great book. We need to get more of the algae into our system. We need to get more of the chlorophyll, that oxygen-enhancing chlorophyll, into our system. Chlorophyll is great for the blood. It's alkalizing. It's cooling. We are overly acidic here in this matrix. We have a lot of heat and inflammation in our bodies. Inflammation on top of the acute states of alimentary toxemia and auto-intoxication within our gastrointestinal system, within our alimentary tract. We have a lot of issues here that are really simple to fix, if you ask me. And it all is related to what we eat. As simple as it is to create these issues, it's as simple to get rid of them if you have the right understanding and the right tools. You see, most of the problems, in my opinion, here in the Matrix could have been avoided. As easy as they have become a part of human history, a part of daily human life for many people. So many people suffer from so many different issues. Chronic migraines, chronic fatigue, delirium, back pain, spinal issues. It's got a notification on my camera. What is the deal? Excuse me. These issues can be reversed largely. I'm not saying all of them, but in my opinion, and these are just opinions, a lot of these issues can be reversed through dietary alterations. So many people are aware of this. So many doctors are coming out and talking about this. Luckily, here in 2019, there's a huge surge of open-minded doctors coming out and publishing amazing books. Look into the works of Dr. Perlmutter. Look into the works of Dr. Gabriel Cousens, medical doctor, naturopathic doctor, and psychiatrist. Look into, again, the works of Dr. Norman Walker, Dr. Bernard Jensen. What is the name of that guy from the Hippocrates Health Institute? I wish I knew his name. I was actually watching some of his videos the other day, or earlier, excuse me. Let's see if I have it up. Brian Clement. Look into the works of Brian Clement. There's so many resources available to our fingertips here in 2019. We have the power to become our own primary healthcare practitioner, and I don't mean to avoid the doctor in any way, shape, or form. I think having a physician is very important. What I mean by self-care physician is you are the only one that has the ability to control what it is that you put into your mouth and into your system. You're the only one that has the ability to control that. And in order to control that and to make the right decisions about what it is you're putting into your system and into your mouth, you have to have some knowledge and you have to have some wisdom as to what's beneficial for your body and your mind and what's not beneficial. What's even scarier, you guys, is most people deep down inside, they know that they should be eating more fruits and vegetables and dark leafy greens and beans and legumes. Most people know instinctively that meat is not a health food. Most people know that dairy is not a health food. They know deep down in their genes, they know in their kind of instinctual memory, but they reject it and they continue to eat all of the junk food that this matrix supplies for them. The food here in this matrix is nutritionally devoid of minerals, enzymes, phytochemicals, pigments, anti-cancerous constituents. The food is depleted, ladies and gentlemen, and it's especially depleted in enzymes. And enzymes, in layman's terms, a brief synopsis, they are the living passengers inside of foods. They are the biologically active and living components. And when we eat these foods, we develop we take in the enzymes from these foods. We take in all of the information from the food that we're eating, and that information is dissected and taken apart by our bodies and assimilated, and we excrete that which we don't need. You see, food is a form of information transference. Consumption, you guys, is a download of information from the minerals and the different vitamins, chemical constituents, saponins, enzymes, you name it, from the foods that we're eating. Food is supposed to be a download of information. Again, food is a form of information transference. If people only knew that food can help the body evolve or devolve, and they really understood that. Most people know that food is supposed to induce health or reduce health. Most people know the consequences of eating junk food, but they do it anyways. But there's more to health than just, oh, it's going to make me feel good. It's going to make me maybe potentially live a little bit longer or reduce my risk of cancer and things like that. There's a more advanced state of health that can potentially be attained through right living and proper consumption of foods, especially foods that are high in chlorophyll and condensed sunlight, and that is the Kundalini energy. This is something that I've spent the majority of my life attempting to attain. Kundalini. I experienced Kundalini in my early 20s. And I had a handful of spontaneous awakenings that were incredibly life-changing and completely rewired my consciousness, rewired my biology. I was shown things that up until that point I didn't know were possible. I was able to do things with my body and my mind which are considered impossible here in this material matrix, which seeks to control the evolution and expansion of your consciousness. And that's largely due to food, ladies and gentlemen. The matrix uses food to lull you to sleep and to keep your cells at a particular frequency and to keep your mind at a particular frequency. It's much more advanced than that. They've hijacked into the actual cell through the cytoplasm. They've affected the nucleus, the nucleolus, the DNA, the chromosomes, the library of information, our genes. They've tapped into the cell and manipulated the way that the cell works and the way that the cells communicate with all 100 trillion plus of your cell networks. So if you can control the building blocks of an organism and affect the way that they operate properly, you can control an organism, especially due to the fact that the cells and the mind are intimately connected. So the matrix has taken the building blocks of mankind, humankind, womankind, and manipulated them, and we have become a slave species. We've become a domesticated creature that lives in a false environment. If we only remembered who we were. And my goal with health, you guys, is to get back to the truth. The truth is that we are an enlightened species. That is our original blueprint. We weren't designed to have to work 9-to-5 jobs every day and do all of this ridiculous stuff. It's such a joke. I'm not saying to drop out of school or to drop out of your job. Obviously, resources are very important here in this world. But if we could only remember what we were doing in our not so distant history, our not so distant past. There was a state, you guys, there was a time where we had no limitations. We could do anything we put our minds to. And I'm talking about things as amazing sounding or as impossible sounding as flying. The body was designed also to live well past 200 years. Now, when I say that, when I say the body was designed to live past 200 years, chances are your conscious or rational mind, the part of your mind that has been conditioned by this world, chances are your mind probably presented a bunch of facts that aren't facts. They are beliefs that have been programmed into you that you've accepted as fact. Your conscious mind probably came up with 100 different reasons as to why you think that that's not possible, that you can live past 200. I've just introduced you to your programming. You're welcome. When we accept beliefs, ladies and gentlemen, as fact, even though they're not fact, it feeds that information into the subconscious mind, and the subconscious mind takes that information and creates that reality for us. This is why we age. We age because we believe we're aging. Now, I'm not saying that the body doesn't mature over time and get bigger and go from infant to adult, because it does. But when you believe that every single year of your life you get closer to your imminent death, you create that reality because you believe it with every fiber of your being. Now, this may sound a little crazy to some people. It really doesn't matter to me. I'm not here to try to convince people otherwise. I think the people who are meant to hear this message will hear it, and I know that this message will fall on some deaf ears. That's okay. I didn't erect this channel with the intention of it reaching everybody. I know that that's not a possibility. I wish it was. But my goal in life, you guys, is to cleanse, eliminate, and detoxify not only the physical stuff that's accumulated in my body in the form of waste, and there's massive amounts of that, you guys, but also the mental garbage, the stuff that we've fed our subconscious mind. That is probably even more important than the physical stuff. Cleansing the mind, you guys, is more important than cleansing the body. Because without a mind that's healthy, you won't even see the rationale. You won't even see the common sense logic to even begin cleansing or begin changing your diet. You see, everything starts in the mind. We have an idea, we conceive it in our mind, we will kind of measure out whether it's, something that we should do or not based on our own unique outlook on life, and we either decide to go through with something or not. Sometimes things that we begin are short-lived, sometimes things that we begin are long-lived, depending on what we do with it and whether or not those things bring us benefit or not. I hope I'm making sense. I didn't get a lot of sleep last night, but everything starts in the mind. How are you going to see the common sense rationale in, taking care of your body or cleansing your body if you don't have a healthy mind to see the potential of why that's important? So for me, we're going to go, this might be a longer rant, but that's all right. It's been a while since I've done one of those. For me, I'm trying to attain states of enlightenment through getting the garbage out of my vessel that's keeping me from being the divine superconductor that I was originally designed to be. And Dr. Gabriel Cousens, medical doctor, naturopathic doctor, and psychiatrist, uses that term often, a divine superconductor. We were supposed to be kind of an antenna for the divine energy, and that is the Kundalini. The body was designed to be christened with this energy. It was designed to be anointed on the energetic levels with this energy, and when this energy moves through the human body, anything is possible. You are also exposed to and able to see all of the energetic fields around your body. Right now, there are a multitude of oscillating energy fields around the human body, around the hands, around the eyes, or around the head, a halo. There are so many things around us that we can't see anymore because of our state of malnourishment and chronic spiritual toxicity. We don't have access to these deeper layers of the mind anymore or existence, and it's largely due to the things that we give credit to, the things that we put into our systems. Now, aside from me trying to achieve the truth of being a human through toxicity cleansing and getting rid of all of the auto-intoxication in my body and eating right, meditating and things like that. I also want to cleanse and be healthy to be an inspiration for others. I want to be an inspiration for my family. I want to be able to have gone through a cleansing process. I want to do what others consider difficult. How would I explain this? A lot of people want to get healthy, but they don't have the willpower to do it because they're so distracted by the matrix. I don't want to be distracted. I want to do what needs to be done to get clean, to get healthy, to get completely radiantly healthy, so that once I attain that state, I can help people attain a similar state. I want to be able to be a resource for people to fall on when they need inspiration, when they need, some type of direction in life. I don't want to go through the motions of life and just be a good little slave for the system. There's enough of those. Now, I'm not trying to sound rude, you guys, but if the average person could glimpse their potential and see how they're squandering it, they would understand and sympathize with what I just said. So, to get health, you guys, after living in a system that has plugged you full of waste, you have to remove the waste. You have to free and open up the elimination channels so that we can get the toxicity out of our system. Now, one of the ways that we do that is through diet. Another way that we do that is through things like colonic irrigations or enemas. Now, enemas and colonic irrigations are different. Colonic irrigations, you guys pump multiple gallons of water into your colon and wash the waste and the debris out of your system. And over time, if you have these done regularly on a schedule, you can get a lot of the waste and garbage stuck in your system out of it. Whereas if you were to do things like enemas, it could potentially take a lot longer. Now, there's benefits to enemas, however. And now we'll kind of branch off from this discussion and talk about enemas and colon cleansing from the perspective of introducing fluids into the colon. But I wanted to get some kind of preliminary information out of the way. I wanted to talk about the dire importance of colon cleansing and why I approach health and why I think that everyone should take better care of their health. There was a few things I just wanted to get out of the way. Excuse me. Again, I didn't have get a lot of sleep last night. Now, enemas, you guys, and this is a new enema bowl, but there's so many different, I'm going to show you guys, there's so many different types of enemas, enema bags that you can get on the market. You want to make sure that the plastic or the rubber, if you get one that is made of rubber, is BPA free. You want to make sure that it's healthy plastic and healthy rubber. And what an enema is, you guys, essentially, for those who don't know, is it's a solution of fluid that you suspend in a bag, and there's a hose attached to it, and you insert the end of that hose into your rectum, and you allow the water to come into your colon and fill it up so that you can wash some of the waste out of your colon. Now, if you aren't really all that privy to what enemas are, that was just kind of a layman's term. If you go into my video archive and type in enema, I talk much deeper about it in previous videos. I highly recommend picking up a 4-part book series by Edmund Bordeaux-Zekeli, known as the Essene Gospel of Peace. In that book, and especially in book 1, Jesus Christ teaches people how to introduce water into their bowels so that they can eliminate the putrefactive matter that is controlling their minds. That book is very, very important for anyone who is interested in understanding bowel cleansing and fasting. In that book, Jesus Christ teaches people the importance of introducing water into the rectum so that you can wash out all of the garbage from your body, which he refers to as sin. Jesus in that book refers to the real Satan as being the worms inside of your system that are controlling your mind. It makes much more sense to me to believe that Satan is a worm or parasites inside of your system, inside of the systems of mankind controlling their thoughts and their minds to do bad things. And that's what parasites do. If you don't believe me, read the book Parasite Rex. Parasites can get inside of an organism and inspire that organism to commit suicide. There are parasites that get inside of particular organisms and literally use the organism that they're inside of as a remote control vehicle. Most people actually think that parasites are just like kind of like a third world thing, or a third world They're very uncommon here in the West. You are so mistaken. It's amazing how asleep people are here in the Matrix. Now, we annually deworm our pets, but we don't deworm ourselves. Now, if your pet has worms, you have those worms as well. Hate to tell you, I've done extensive amounts of parasite cleansing. I've eliminated them from my body. I know that they're real. I have a Facebook group called Parasite Cleansing and Detoxification. If you're interested, go check it out. Thousands of members in that group. It gets a lot of activity. But an enema, you guys, is a bag full of fluid that you suspend in the air and you lay on the ground in gravity. I know this is an enema bulb, you guys. This is a brand new one. You can see that this is a tube. Now, this is not the preferred style that I use. This was purchased out of just curiosity. This is just a solution. This is a very small amount of fluid, and you put your fluid in this type of bulb style enema. You insert the speculum into the rectum, and you allow gravity to, there's a clamp here, you allow gravity to introduce the water into your system. This style enema bag, you guys, is more for retention enemas, and I'm not really going to talk about what retention enemas are in this video. I will, however, give you a brief synopsis. Retention enemas are enemas that are designed for you to hold the fluid. Most enemas, you guys, you're introducing a much larger amount of water into the rectum than this, usually 4 cups or more. And what that type of enema is designed to do is to go into your colon and kind of wash the colonic walls, and then you're eliminating the water into the toilet. It's a way of washing the walls of the colon. With this style enema, you guys, this is more for retention enemas. And again, a retention enema is when you make like a particular tea or some type of substance and introduce it into the colon, and you let it sit there for a predetermined amount of time, whether that be 5 minutes, whether that be 30 minutes or an hour. Now, there's some benefit to this, you guys, and the benefit comes from the fact that when you put a solution of when you put something into your rectum, it is absorbed into your bloodstream up to 8 to 12 times quicker and more efficiently than oral ingestion. So if people who are often very ill are administered retention enemas, so that a lot of times people who are very ill, their digestion is compromised from the get-go, and the oral ingestion of particular nutritive constituents is the oral ingestion is very compromised. A lot of times the stuff, when you absorb things orally, is broken down and not assimilated as efficiently, but when you put things into the rectum, it is absorbed like that. Now, I'm not recommending that people do any of this stuff. With retention enemas, you have to be very careful. There's a right and wrong way to do things, and certain herbs cannot be introduced into the rectum. Again, I am not recommending anyone do these things. I'm just telling you what they are, what retention enemas are, just kind of a brief synopsis, and I'll talk about them more in the near future. But with a normal enema bag, you guys, you have a much larger solution of water in a different style bag, and it usually has a clasp that you hang on to like a shower curtain rod. And then the tube is much longer, and you allow water to go from the enema bag into your rectum. Things that I've done water enemas. My favorite enema is hands down the coffee enema. I'm drinking some coffee here, but coffee enemas, you guys, allow the bile ducts and the liver to detoxify. Coffee enemas, if you haven't ever heard of coffee enemas before, you think that it sounds like just absolute just insanity. Look it up a little bit. Look into the Gerson therapy protocol for healing and regenerating and reanimating the body with life. The coffee enema, discovered by and pioneered by Max Gerson, the founder of the Gerson Health Institute. The coffee enema is one of the most powerful things for detoxification, in my opinion, based on my own research and experimentation, that there is. And there's plenty of cases to verify this, ladies and gentlemen. Coffee enemas are typically used as a liver detoxifier because the liver holds on to a majority of the poisons that we accumulate here in the matrix from what we breathe, what we eat, what we drink, you name it, smoking, etc. But the coffee enema is again advertised as a a liver detoxifier. But what I've found, you guys, is that properly administered coffee enemas are one of the most powerful colon cleansing tools that we can use. It has an affinity if it's at the right temperature and if it's right, the quality is correct. If it's the right style, variety, and if it's organic coffee, it has the affinity to help break off impactions within the GI tract. I've eliminated pound after pound after pound after pound of waste with coffee enemas. I am amazed at the power and the validity of coffee enemas. I've done things like gotu kola enemas. I've done warm water and baking soda enemas. I've done lemon enemas, chamomile enemas, a large handful of different retention enemas with enemas bags like this with just a small amount of fluid. There's so much waste, you guys. I'm not just rehashing what's been said in the past about colon cleansing. I've actually done the experiments on myself. I've actually done the not only the research, but I've applied the research, and I've developed the wisdom from seeing what comes out of this system in the forms of long pieces of parasites and worms. I've seen pound after pound of rubber-like material come out of my system that, again, I said this earlier, could not be cut with a knife. It was the consistency of a rubber tire from a car. If the average person could actually witness what was truly inside of them, keeping them from attaining health, they would be blown away. The fact that this is not more common here in 2019 is just absolute hypocrisy, in my opinion, because the information has been out there. There has been so much talk about this in so many different parts of the world, and it's being suppressed. In order for us to evolve, in order for us to become a greater, healthier, happier humankind, we have to get rid of the poisons from our system. Alimentary, toxemia, and auto-intoxication, you guys, of the GI tract, of the alimentary tract, is the root cause of so many different issues that humanity is currently experiencing. Whether that be mental issues, things like fatigue, depression. Again, these are just my opinions, but there's so many different doctors and physicians who would agree with me. In fact, to a large extent, where I've gotten a lot of the information about alimentary toxemia and auto-intoxication were different doctors, open-minded doctors. But we're talking about things like mental fatigue, mental exhaustion, insomnia, things related to the kidneys, things related to the bones, things related to the skin. All can be related back to some type of toxicity within the human body that's stuck there. Now, let me rephrase that, because I'm not going to say that every issue that mankind currently experiences is from some type of poison stuck in his or her body. That's not true. Excuse me. That was my error. But a large percentage of it is, in my opinion. How could accumulated wastes not affect the organism that was accumulating these wastes? Now, aside from us, you guys, having a lot of waste stuck in our system from all the junk that we eat here, we accumulate wastes, you guys, because the foods that we are eating are not designed for human consumption. We have foods that nature grows for us that are designed for our consumption, and when we eat those foods, we abide by the laws of nature and everything goes smoothly. However, we have industrialized things and made foods that are considered frankenfoods, foods that are genetically engineered, genetically modified, homogenized, foods that are fortified with artificial constituents, foods that have had all their minerals stripped out and all their pigments, foods that are sticky, foods that are full of gelatin and just animal byproducts. These foods, because they are not designed for human consumption, when they go into our bodies, they get stuck. I'm not saying that they all get stuck, but a large majority of these foods get stuck into our system. And when things get stuck in the system and cannot transit properly out of the elimination channels, over time, these things rancidify, putrefy, and ferment. And it leads to a poisoning of the alimentary tract, the gastrointestinal walls, the small intestine, the large intestine. But it also affects the blood, you guys, because when you have waste inside of your GI tract, when you have waste inside of your alimentary tract, it leads to acute toxemia. It leads to a pollution of the blood. It leads to so many different issues. On top of that, when you have a lot of fecal matter and mucus and mucoid plaque inside of your GI tract, you guys, you pretty much affect every single part of your anatomy, depending on how much waste you have and where it is in the colon. Now, if you look at a colon, you guys, If you look at like a Dr. Norman Walker colon chart, you'll see that the colon has a bunch of different bumpy nodules. Now, each of those nodules, you guys, has a different relay center to a major organ center or a different part of the human body. So there's an actual part of your colon that's connected to your heart. There's a part of your colon, ladies and gentlemen, that is connected to your throat and your thyroid. So if you have waste in that particular part of your colon that's connected to that other part of your anatomy, you affect that part of the anatomy, and you may or may not experience symptoms in that particular part of your physiology predicated upon the fact that you have waste inside of that part of your system. You see, everything's connected in the human body. This is the greatest... Within Western medicine, it appears that they've isolated parts and kind of fragmented the body, and they don't look at things holistically. That's why I'm drawn towards Chinese medicine. That's why I'm drawn to naturopathic medicine and things of that nature, alternative health, herbalism. Within these sectors, oftentimes the practitioners and physicians look at the body and the mind as a whole. They don't separate things. People think that, oh, he's got like a brain issue. It must be strictly the brain. What about the other parts of the physiology that are connected to the brain? It's not so black and white, you guys. It's fused, it's gray, it's a mixture of black and white. Everything's connected in this miraculous machine. Now, we've become so toxified, you guys, with the wrong foods. We've also genetically been handed down certain traits and memories in our gene pool and things of that nature in our DNA that we, from our ancestors and whatnot, we are continuing the programming from our predecessors. We need to break free from the programming. We need to become what we truly are, enlightened, limitless individuals. This is when humankind will advance. This is when humankind will truly evolve. I really wonder if this will ever even happen. I have faith that it will, and I'll continue to produce these messages and try to inspire people to become enlightened, to become their true selves. Excuse me, my nose really itches. So we have all these foods, you guys. You go into your standard, you go into the supermarket and look around. I mean, there's just, as homework, go into the supermarket and grab an item off the shelf and read the label, and you try to pronounce half the words on the back of the label. Then after you figure out how to pronounce the words, which will probably take you at least an hour, because there's usually a long list, a paragraph of ingredients with names that sound like they come right out of a laboratory. Things like titanium dioxide and things of that nature. After you figure out how to pronounce these constituents, look them up and see how they affect the human body. 99% of the time, those constituents have been proven to cause damage to the human organism. So we have foods that are, in every supermarket that are designed to destroy health. They're Trojan horse weapon systems. They're suicide they're packaged suicide that tastes good. But when you eat these foods, it leads to a backing up of the system, because these foods aren't designed to go into our system from the get-go. They create sludge and mucoid plaque. They are so inflammatory and acidic usually that it causes, the body creates an excessive amount of mucus as a buffer. The body creates mucus to buffer acidity, to buffer toxicity. And unfortunately, due to how stagnant our bowels are, because our bowels are so malnourished and maltoned here in this matrix, oftentimes that mucus gets stuck in the system. And when the mucus gets stuck in the system, it becomes mucoid plaque. And most people have multiple feet of this stuff stuck in their system. I've eliminated it out of my system. I know other people have. And for people who say that the stuff isn't real, yes, it is. I've eliminated the stuff during water fasts, during fruit fasts, during vegetable juice fasts. All right, you guys, welcome back. Let's finish up this video. It's kind of long. I don't want to make it too long. Now, people ask me all the time, how do you begin getting healthy? How do you begin getting these wastes out of your system? It comes from, in my opinion, based on my own experiences, changing your diet, getting away from the animal products to the best of your ability, especially the meat, you guys. But there's other things that you can do. I mean, drinking more water. Now these are, I'm not saying that this stuff is just going to miraculously get rid of this waste in your system, because this is kind of a slow thing to do, you guys. If you think that you can just cleanse your body in like 3 to 5 days, you're gravely mistaken. I'm still kicking stuff out of my system years later. I mean, the tissues of the body, especially with things like heavy metals, and in no way, shape, or form are all the poisons in our system just like sludge. We have accumulated metals and poisons, radiation. These things take time to get out of the system. And that, you know, people who want to start with this stuff, you need to start drinking more water. You need to start drinking more water, and you need to start questioning your diet. Questioning yourself through critical self-analysis and looking at what you're doing that's right from what's wrong, completely being honest with yourself, writing down what you do that's good on paper and writing out what you do that's bad on paper, allows you to really look at what needs to be changed in your life. It allows you to look at your positive traits and your negative traits. And only once you acknowledge the things in your life that are both good and bad can you move forward. So critical self-analysis is key. I talk about this on my Patreon page, ways to really tap into critical self-analysis. So drinking more water, questioning everything that you put into your mouth and into your system, that is key. Once you do that, you guys, the doors will open wide for you, because you'll realize what you need to do to change. Now, I have hours and hours and hours of free video content on my video archive about changing the diet. There's also massive amounts of information on YouTube, on the internet, on Google. You could pick up books by Dr. Gabriel Cousens, medical doctor, naturopathic doctor, and psychiatrist. Check out his book, Spiritual Nutrition. That book is basically a guide to a plant-based diet and enlightening the self with the Kundalini. It's like a Kundalini awakening manual through diet and proper lifestyle and aligning yourself with source. Beautiful, beautiful book, you guys. There's so much information out there, but questioning what you put into your system is the key. How are you going to know what to change if you don't know what you're doing in your life, or if you're not conscious of what you're doing with every fiber of your being? Because many people, their diets are unconscious. As conscious of a thing as, consumption of food is a conscious thing, but it's also highly unconscious. Because a lot of the decisions that people make about what they put into their system and into their mouth, they don't really regret until after they do it. It's like there's something controlling their hand. And only after they eat the food do they realize that, oh, I shouldn't have done that. I feel like garbage. A lot of it as well, you guys, is people seeking a dopamine rush, because a lot of the foods that people are eating excite the brain in an unnatural way and make you feel like it stimulates the reward centers of your brain until you take that last bite and realize that that did nothing for you. Again, the type of lifestyles that we lead here in the Matrix are very deceptive. And if you participate in them for too long and you don't get out of it, if you don't unplug from it, it leads to a massive amount of harm and a lot of time that you have to go and backpedal and reaccumulate the truth. When you consume things that kill you, when you don't listen to that soft voice inside of you that's trying to steer you in the right direction, and we all have that. It's called listening to your gut. Everyone knows not to eat fast food. Everyone knows not to reach for alcohol. Everyone knows not to reach for that cigarette. And when you have that feeling not to do that, and you violate that, and you participate in a self-suicide game by eating this junk or consuming alcohol or smoking, what you do, ladies and gentlemen, is that you create a state of mind where your subconscious mind starts to not take you seriously. And that leads to a whole lot of issues, because that's when things start to happen in your life that you just make no sense. Bad things happen to you, and you think it's all because of life. You think that you're a victim, when it's actually self-generated by your own thinking and belief processes that you nourish. The subconscious mind is a very expansive subject, and a lot of our issues can be rooted directly back to illegitimate information that we've fed into the subconscious mind. I talk about the subconscious mind in my various videos here on YouTube. I'm not going to get into it in this video. I want to wrap this one up. I wish I could go longer, you guys, and I technically could, but I don't want to bore people. I don't want to keep people too long. We're going to talk a lot more about the colon, you guys. This is something that has fascinated me for years. It's something that I've learned a ton about. One thing that people can do as well is experiment with things like slippery elm powder, as well as psyllium husk powder. And I'll talk about these more in the near future. But this stuff is beautiful, you guys, because it goes into your system. When psyllium hits water, it becomes a bulk. And when you consume that bulk, it plumps up inside the GI tract and brooms the GI tract. And this stuff absorbs a lot of garbage from your system. And you can mix it with charcoal. There's a handful of different shakes that you can make with psyllium that are highly beneficial, if you ask me, based on my own experiences with it. There are answers out there, ladies and gentlemen. There are tools out there for you to begin stimulating your health and becoming a healthier, happier you. The key to abundance, the key to health, is to regenerate yourself and reanimate yourself and your cells with the truth and the life force energy. And the life force is contained in the plants. The life force is contained in the herbs. The life force is especially contained in large traces in the oxygen-promoting, oxygen-enhancing chlorophyll of plants. I like the greens. A lot of people, seem to be in favor of consuming fruit. I am not a fruit fan. I'll consume it from time to time, but I find the most power and the most Kundalini contained within the sugarless or low sugar fruits and vegetables. The chlorophyll is very, very calming to the system. It's good for the blood. The chlorophyll calms the mind. The greens calm the mind. They energize the body. They detoxify heavy metals. They're stable. The greens, the vegetation, they're constantly in a state of meditation. And yes, plants are living. I don't care how many ways to Sunday vegans try to say that plants don't have consciousness. Plants are very conscious, ladies and gentlemen. Plants communicate messages to other plants, especially through their root systems. I mean, the complicated plants are far more advanced than the average person gives them credit for. But these plants are designed to be consumed. Plants are not like animals. There's a huge disinformation thing going around right now where people say, oh, plants are they're the same as animals. Plants have feelings too. Plants have an evolved state of consciousness. They're on a completely different wavelength. Plants are more evolved than humans. Believe it or not. I've got a little bit of turmeric here, you guys. This is an awesome product. This is Omica brand organic liquid turmeric. This is the emulsified extract with biodynamic organic lavender and rosemary hydrosols. This is not vegan, however. It does have honey, and I will consume honey from time to time throughout the year. I didn't actually know that this product had honey in it. A friend of mine sent me this. And when I had consumed a little bit of it and then realized it had honey, and I'm not going to let it go to waste. Honey is a very, very valid health food. It's got biodynamic organic rosemary hydrosol, lavender hydrosol, unfiltered honey, turmeric paste, essential oils, lemon myrtle essential oil, amazing stuff. Turmeric is highly anti-inflammatory. This is something that I like to consume regularly, at least a few times a week, if not every day. Not this particular product, but turmeric in general, especially turmeric with bioperine or black pepper extract. But look at the color of this, you guys. Health is much more than just cleansing your colon. It's giving your body the right constituents. It's giving your blood the right constituents. It's giving your system anti-inflammatory constituents. And turmeric is highly anti-inflammatory. Stuff smells amazing. So I'm going to wrap this one up, you guys. I love you all. If you've watched this video up until this point, thank you for watching. That's awesome. I wanted to plug my Patreon page really quick and some of my donation portals for those of you who are interested. Your support is heavily appreciated, and it really helps me with things. It helps me massively. I mean, with the donations and the money that I get for my channel, I buy things like microphones, new cameras, groceries. It helps me pay the bills. It makes my life a little bit easier, you guys, and it helps me have a little bit of extra money to buy certain things, such as different supplements, as well as different forms of resources of information. A lot of the money that I make goes directly into buying books and buying my time. I mean, we live in a world where time is money, and because I'm a researcher, I do my best to accumulate as much information as possible. And I've collected so many books, you guys. I'll show you guys my book collection in the near future. But if you're interested in donating, I just wanted to throw a couple of options out there. And again, it's heavily appreciated if you do. Excuse me. Well, after I talk for about 30 minutes, my mouth starts to not be able to keep up with my mind. You can go on to the links in the description box if you're interested in donating. There's 3 different options. And again, I love you guys. May peace be with you all. I hope that 2019 is full of expansion for you. I hope that 2019 is a breakthrough year for you. I hope that here in 2019, you can grasp certain common sense, rational concepts about health and the laws of nature and apply them to your life if it so resonates with you. If you watch this channel, please continue to watch this channel. Please network my videos around with friends and family if you believe that they can benefit from it. Sharing is caring. I hope that 2019 is full of evolutionary breakthroughs for you. I hope that the Kundalini energy enlightens you here in 2019. I hope that here in 2019, all of the doors open and align for you so that you can make the right decisions with your time and gain maximum benefit from utilizing your time. I hope that 2019 is full of experimentation for you. I hope that you access clean water and generate the cleanest water. I hope that you really take your health seriously here in 2019, and it all starts with the mind. What is important to you? What is the most important thing to anyone? Most people will answer health, because without health, you have nothing. What good is having a bunch of dreams, aspirations, goals, desires, and longings if you don't even have the energy to get out of bed and do it? Vitality comes from health, and health comes from the reacclimation or reaccumulation of the Kundalini Christ consciousness, the life force energy, and it's contained in the plants, it's contained in the air. It's also contained in your actions. Get rid of the waste, put the right things in, and chances are you will be amazed at your results. On behalf of this channel and on behalf of your growth, may peace be with you all.